All right, friends. So for the enums, I already have my that part set and ready. So now, what's an enum? An enum, or you could say an enumerated type, is a special class representing a fixed number of constant values. Wow, what a long and confusing definition. So, well, as usual, I define, I break down. So now, what's an enum? Practical. So let's head straight to it. So you could say enum is kind of just like defining a new type for whatever you want for yourself. You understand? So for yourself, I mean, let's just head to this practical so that you see what I mean. Then, as I'm doing it practical, I'm explaining it. You're getting to know it better, better, and better. So first, when defining enums, we say enum this way. So in that, enum is kind of like a special, not kind of like enum is a special type of a class, or you could say enum is a special type of whatever you're defining, a special type of data type, a special type of a class. So me, I prefer to say see enum as a special type of whatever I'm defining. So you know one thing with programming, programming is kind of like however you understand it and however you seem to apply and implement your own logic to knowing what you know as a programmer. So maybe perhaps some other programmers can see enum as a special type of class, others a special type of data type. But to me, I see enum as a special type of whatever I choose to define it to be. Understand? So take for instance my enums now, or my enum now. So and also an enum makes use of the Pascal case naming convention in which you capitalize the first character of each word. Also, you could use the camel case to name enum values. So let me show you. So enum, so for name, let me make use of the Pascal case whereby I capitalize the first letter here. So I'm going to say cars. I'm still making use of my cars from the previous video. So cars. Then after that, your coily braces. Yeah. So this is how we define enum. Enum, then the name, then the coily brace follows suit. So inside this, let me define whatever like I want to define being my type. So I want to define my type of cars in which I like. So I'm gonna say Bentley because I really like Bentley. Bentley. Then after the Bentley, come beneath this Ferrari. Ferrari. Then after the Ferrari, I have the Porsche. The Porsche. Fine. Fine. Okay, I have an error here. So it says enum can't be used as an identifier because it's a keyword. So let me tell you guys something. I knew that this was going to pop up for me an error, but I purposely did this for the sake of to show you guys something. So whenever I define enums, you don't define enums inside the main function. So enum already is a keyword on its own. So it chooses to stay outside the main function. You understand? It chooses to stay outside the entry points. That's the main function. So you see, immediately I brought the enum out of the entry point. That's the main function. You see, all our error goes away. All of our errors they go away. So no error found here. So everything is fine. So enum our type. So what type enum cars? Then inside the cars I have the Bentley, the Ferrari, and the Porsche. So now, friends, this is how you define an enum. So you've seen that I've defined an enum of the type of cars in which I like. So you could define an enum based on the type of food in which you like, the type of clothing which you love to put on, series you love to visit, or whatsoever. So let's go deep. Let's dive deep more to learning more about enums. So now I want to get the first value of what's contained inside my enum, and that's the Bentley. So I'm gonna come inside the void, and let me say for the first value I'm gonna say print dot cars dot Bentley, print dot Bentley. Let's run this. So you see the output here, cars dot Bentley. So this not making sense in a way, you understand, but I just did this for the sake of just to let you know that you could still get any value which you want to get inside this enum, you understand. So we don't define enums to start getting values, but we mostly use enums when you're making use of control flows. That's the for, the if, the switch. You understand? That's where we make use of enum. So I'm gonna give you guys a practical example of using of how to use enum in a control flow statement. You understand? And the control flow I'm gonna make use of is not an if or neither a for, because I taught you guys that. So I'm gonna make use of something different this time around, and that's the switch. And also it's gonna be an added advantage to you guys to also learn how to use the switch statement. So how about us finding out the index of the Bentley? So it's very simple. So I'm gonna say cars Bentley dot index. Easy. So let's run this and let's hope for a good output, which is 0. So you see 0. So 0 is the index. 0 is the index of Bentley. So now how about if you want to print out the values of each items here, which is the Bentley, Ferrari, and the Porsche. So you don't just want to print out a single value just as we did for the Bentley. So I want to have cars of Bentley, cars of Ferrari, likewise cars of Porsche. Very easy. So now we're going to make use of a control flow statement. So whenever you want to loop through collections of items, you make use of control flow statement. So, and the control flow statement which I love to use is the for loop. So we also have the while loop. So it's fine, but I prefer the for loop because I'm so familiar with the for loop. So for that, so I'm gonna say for what? I'm gonna say for var for car in cars, print for me car. So it's spots an issue for us, which is an error. So let's run this so that I'm going to see the error clearly and know what it says. So it says to us, the type used in the for loop must implement an iterable. So what's an iterable? An iterable is something that could be looked through. When I mean look through, something that you could move around like inside it, like you could look through it, you could look through its values, its items, its collections. You understand? So a good example of an iterable is a list. Another good example of an iterable is a set. You understand? Then another good example of an iterable also is a map. But most especially, like most especially the list. The list is the iterable which many programmers use. Likewise myself, I make use of the list iterable. Whenever I spot an error like this, it says to me the type used in the for loop must implement an iterable. So automatically what just simply comes to my head is make use of an iterable. So and the iterable which I make use of most often is the list iterable, list type. So I'm going to come here and make use of the list. So let me say list of vehicle, because they are all vehicles. List of vehicles here. Then I'm going to say cars dot values, then close this with terminator. So by doing this, we've made an iterable out of our cars, out of our enums. So cars dot values now is an iterable being made out from our enum here. What this simply means is every value being contained inside the enum, so Bentley, Ferrari, and Porsche. But to access each particular value specifically, that's what we make use of the for loop. So let's go ahead modifying what we have here. So instead of now saying cars directly, since we already have our iterable being made out from here, so we're just going to make use of our iterable. So I'm going to say car from vehicle, or variable car in vehicles. Yeah. So this is fine. So you see our error goes away, no issue found. So let's run this again. So it says script error. Why? Okay, I've seen what's the problem. But though I guess nothing is the problem. So you see we have our result here, cars with Bentley. So you could confirm here nothing has changed. So we still say print for us the car from our iterable. So whenever you're making use of the for statement here, or the for loop here, so you're saying loop through an iterable. So whatever you pass inside here in between the brackets should be an iterable that you're telling the for statement to look through for you, or to look between for you, or to look for you. You understand? To look through for you. So if it's not an iterable, that's when you see an error related to what we saw previously or initially. You understand? So now I've already made an iterable from my enum. So, and that's this. So, and I then brought in the iterable inside the for loop. So I then told it to print cars for me. So now I have my result here: cars.bentley, cars.ferrari, likewise cars.porsche. So let me go ahead giving you guys another example of how to use enum, and this is the most important aspect of application of enum. So guys, please pay good attention and carefully listen to every line I have to say here, and pick everything you need to pick from what I have to say here, because this is very important for you guys, because this is the most important application of enum, and not all this we've been doing. I just needed you guys to get a hands-on how to use enum for start. You understand? So for that, I'm gonna make use of a switch statement. So for the switch statement, I don't need to go ahead defining the switch from beginning. So I quickly copied something from a resource. So let me paste it here. Yeah, perfect. So now let me break this down for you guys. So a switch statement can be a lookalike to an if statement. You understand? We use a switch statement to determine probabilities between conditions. If this is true, then do this. If this is false, then do this. You understand? Just the way we make use of if statements. If this is this, do this. If this is that, do that. So that's how we make use of each switch statement. So that's why I say switch statements are kind of a look alike, or are kind of look alike to the if statement. So inside, first of all, you define your switch here. The switch is a keyword. You define the switch. So the switch takes next after it brackets. It takes brackets. Then inside, in between the brackets, we have an expression. So you're going to pass inside the switch here an expression. So after that, you have your curly brackets. You have your curly brackets here, or you could say your curly braces. So next off, you have different cases. You have lots of cases. So these cases is kind of like, let me say, like when you're using an if statement, when you be like, if this is this, if A is equal to A, print the alphabet is A. Else, if B A is not equal to A, print the alphabet is B. Else, if A is equal to C, print the alphabet is C. Else, if D is equal to A, print the alphabet is D. You understand? So all those else if, else this, else that. So the switches else if, else, and the rest of that all comes down to being a case. You understand? So the switch, why I love using the switch is that the switch makes everything look so neat than the if. So if you're making use of the if, everything here is gonna look so bulky and to me dirty. You understand? So I love to use the switch because everything here is simplified. So if it doesn't match up with the first case, it checks the next case. If it doesn't match up with the next case, it checks the next one. And if this doesn't match, it just comes directly to the default, you understand, as the output. So now, what are we going to pass in here as our expression? So for our expression, I'm going to put our expression inside a variable. So I'm going to say var, what am I going to name this variable right now? So let me just say exp for expression, exp. So one thing I also want you guys to learn is, whenever it comes to naming your variables in your programs or your projects, try to name variables relating to what you are doing, or relating to what that variable is being created for. Don't just go for, okay, for example, now I want to pass in an expression here. Then for my variable now, I'm going to call my variable town hall. I'm going to call my variable an orange or a guava. No, that doesn't make sense. Even though it's going to work, you understand, but it doesn't make sense, because if you come back to your code, like even 5 days later, even a week later, 2 weeks, a month, or even a year, if it happens for maintenance or something like that, you're gonna get so confused. You understand? Though it was you who programmed that site, you understand? So, or that app. So just try to name your things related to what you're doing. So as exp for expression. Then for my expression, I'm gonna say cars, cars, cars dot Bentley, cars.bentley. So the expression is kind of like a value. So in simple terms, don't confuse yourself. Just know that an expression when it comes to a switch statement is a value that it expects to start checking, like based on like a condition it expects for it to pass in, to start checking if any case matches that condition or that value, it matches up to it. So the value in which I want to check if our case is here matches up to is the cars of Bentley. So for the expression here, I'm going to pass exp. So very simple. You see the red line is out. So for the case for our value one, I'm going to change this value one to cars. Let me copy this and let me come paste it here. Let me paste here too. Let me likewise here. Let me, yeah. So that's that. Cars dot Bentley. Cars dot, let me change this to, let me reduce our cars to, okay, we have three already, Ferrari and Porsche. So Ferrari, Ferrari. Then for this we have our Porsche. Perfect. So what we're seeing right now is inside the switch statement, if our expression passed inside here matches up to any of the cases here, let it run its statement. You understand? So now I'm saying if cars Bentley is equal to cars Bentley, run this. Else, if cars Bentley is equal to cars Ferrari, run this. Else, if cars Bentley is equal to cars Porsche, run this. Then else, run this. So now you see the similarity between switch and the if. So they just look alike, but just different names, different syntax, and different forms in which they take. You understand? But they serve the same purpose. You understand? So we use them to evaluate conditions, or we use them to evaluate between conditions for a result. So now, for the first case, I'm just simply gonna print I have a Bentley. Simple. So let me copy this real quick, replace them here also. I have a Bentley, so I have a Ferrari, then I have a Porsche. Simple. Then for the default statement, if it matches nothing here, if nothing matches here, so for the default, I'm gonna say I have no car. I have no car. That's simple. So let's run this right now and see the results that we're gonna get. So you see, it says I have a Bentley. Well, it's pretty easy, you can see. So as I told you guys, it's just kind of like puzzles, like matching up something, kind of like an if statement. If an expression I passed in matches with if a condition I passed in matches with my expression, then let this run. So you see our expression here. Our expression is a value in which we passed in here. So I'm saying if cars of Bentley here matches with cars of Bentley, print for me I have a Bentley. While if cars dot Ferrari here matches with cars of Bentley, very easy, print for me I have a Ferrari. You understand? So this is kind of like when you're making uh food recipe sites where customers could order from. So you're kind of saying if a customer orders a pizza, if a customer here orders a pizza, then give the customer a pizza. Or if a customer orders an orange, give the customer an orange. Or maybe if the customer orders a baguette, give the customer a baguette. So now you could see that everything we do here is being applied in real life. So it's just based on logic, your ideas, and how you tend to understand programming or perceive programming from your own perspective. You get, so it's them easy. So this is like the most case whereby we apply a switch statement, or you could say this is where a switch statement is mostly, I say switch, my bad. This is mostly where an enum is used. You understand? Most especially, like me personally, I make use of enums with control flow statements. You understand? That's where you mostly see me use enums. So I don't know for you where you're gonna apply it or how, but your choice. So that's that, friends, and see you in the next video.